We have it on the counter, but Beth's looking at it.
Oh, is that it? Okay.
Okay, sorry. Do you want the copy with the track changes, or do you want a clean copy?
Just a copy. I'm happy with whatever.
She's got the book. She just got the book.
Okay, I was
Yeah.
gonna say, so you can have mine.
I printed it out and left it on my, okay.
It's, no, I don't print packets out. Oh, well, they get them electronically. I'm not printing packets. Do they have laptop or something? I said, do they look at it electronically? I don't know. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the regular Parks and Community Services Commission meeting, November 9th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. Commissioner Garcia Arreola,
Here.
would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Of the United States of America, for which it stands, one nation, in liberty and justice for all. Oh, Gilfus, but so we're just going to do roll call, right? Okay. Youth Commissioner Elena Ray Guido.
Here.
Commissioner David Garcia Arreola.
Here.
Commissioner Clarence Mammarell.
Here.
Commissioner Charles Plummer is excused. And Vice Chair Kathy Margalotti is excused. And Chair Gina Griggs.
Here.
Thank you.
At this time, do we have any public comments not on the agenda?
Commissioner Griggs, Chair Griggs, I have no written comments received, and I have no hands raised online.
Do we have any public comments not on the agenda in the audience? Thank you.
Thank you.
And do we have any agenda changes this evening, Director Akita?
Yes, thank you, Chair Griggs. I would like to add to the agenda the introduction to our youth commissioner. We'll make that business item number 2. We'll make it business item number 1, but we'll change it to number 2, and then we'll change parks and facility naming policy to number 3, and then the repair and replacement program planning to number 4. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director. Moving on to the consent calendar. The minutes of the Parks and Community Services Commission meeting of October 12th, 2023. The recommendation is to approve the minutes of the Parks and Community Services Commission meeting of October 12th, 2023. Upon review of the minutes, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of October 12th, 2023?
Yes, I'll move to approve.
And a second?
And I'll third that.
Roll call.
Commissioner David Garcia Arreola,
Present.
yay or nay?
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Commissioner Mammarell
Yes.
and Chair Griggs.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to our business items. Business item number 2, introduction of our youth commissioner. I will pass that to Director Aketa.
Thank you, Chair. We are excited to share with our community that we have a youth commissioner serving on our commission for the Parks and Community Services Commission. And we would like to welcome Elena Ray Guido. She is a high school senior at the American Canyon High School. And she actually competed for this. There was several other high school seniors and students that applied, and the council ended up choosing her to serve on our commission. And we are so very grateful for her service, and welcome to the Parks and Community Services Commission.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, and welcome, Youth Commissioner Ray Guido. Okay, moving on to business item number 3. Parks and Facility Naming Policy. The recommendation is to review and finalize the draft city facility naming policy. Director?
Thank you, Chair. So as you recall, we started this process last meeting of trying to update our facility naming policy. We met on October 3rd. We discussed and reviewed the suggested changes to the Parks and Facility Naming Policy, which is Attachment 1. The original policy and then Attachment 2 is the track changes to that policy, and then Attachment 3 is the clean version. We expect that after this evening, if there's no further changes, to take this to City Council on December 19th to get this policy updated so we can continue to move forward with our other initiative, which is renaming the 2 parks, Community Park 1 and Community Park 2, as well as the Napa Junction, former Napa Junction Elementary School, which is where we have unofficially dubbed our Napa Junction Community Center. Also parallel to this, which is an important thing to note, city staff is currently working with the American Canyon High School, where we have several high school students volunteering, and we are trying to capture the American Canyon history from 1992, from when the city became incorporated to where we are now. We have identified several members of this community where we are trying to get them scheduled for those interviews, and we hope to have a full, well-rounded historical knowledge of our amazing city and all the people and all the things that have helped make the city become what it is today. So we're trying to secure those interviews. We hope to have them done shortly, so that way when the policy is updated, we have our history, and then we have some information to be able to start that process of renaming those 2 parks in that facility. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director. We'll just take a few moments to review the clean policy, and then we'll move on to questions and comments regarding the policy change recommendations by commissioners. Are we ready for questions and comments, or would we like to take a 5-minute recess?
Chair Griggs, I recommend that we take a 5-minute recess so that way you guys have time to review the policy and that way we can actually come back and we can have some dialogue and take public comment on this matter. So let's go ahead and take a 5-minute recess and
Perfect.
then we'll come back. Thank you.
you. think we're ready to resume. Ms. Gilfus? Okay, thank you very much for that. So I would like to open it up for commissioner questions, comments, and feedback regarding the clean proposal of the new city facility naming policy.
Okay, I think to start off with, a few clarifications on the wording. For section 3, naming criteria, subsection A, our suggested revision would be, names should reflect diversity, equity, and inclusion, comma, and here's the change, and be representative of the American Canyon community. Second sentence about the names intentionally brought in the representation of people in our community probably doesn't need to be there.
Yep.
Because of the revision to sentence 1,
Sounds
or
great.
the first sentence. And then section 4, procedures. Minor change. The City of American Canyons Parks and Recreation Department will conduct, and then the word after that is multiple. Our thinking is that, well, to remove multiple. Our thinking is that if we put multiple in there and we only need one, hypothetically, if we only need one meeting on it, then if we leave it in there, we're locked into like more than one meeting. And also, public engagements and outreach opportunities is already plural. Like I said, though, Director Akita, yeah, fairly minor things.
So what would
Just to
you,
clarify.
so we chose the word multiple because we are conducting multiple community engagement opportunities with a series of, and that series includes this body and council. So it's, that was the intent for multiple. We can say a series of public engagement opportunities versus multiple, and that really doesn't, there isn't like a, because we don't know how many meetings. It could be 2 meetings, it could be 3 meetings, it could be, because by the time it gets to council, we're making a recommendation to council. And they have the opportunity to either say, yes, we're good with 1 meeting, or they can say, no, we want to talk about this more, we want to pull it, we want to talk about it more. So conduct multiple public engagement outreach opportunities, including soliciting input from American Canyon residents and holding public meetings with the Parks and Community Services Commission and City Council. So that's why the word multiple is there, because there is a process. It's showing that there's a process for this. Like, somebody can make a recommendation, that's great, but now you have to go through that process. So instead of multiple, what other word would you like to use?
I think it was just a matter of, it says public engagement and outreach opportunities, and then it lists everything specifically. So it just felt like multiple was actually redundant.
Okay. Maybe just say conduct public engagement and outreach opportunities, including soliciting input, to get rid of the word multiple. Okay, now I'm understanding.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying.
Commissioner Garcia Arreola, feedback?
Not at the moment. I'm just still trying to make a bit more sense of this at the moment. Thank you, Chair.
Our youth commissioner, Ray Guido, do you have any feedback regarding our proposed city renaming policy?
Not at the moment.
The only question I did have was in selecting the name, like the criteria. It says selecting the name of the city will be following criteria should be used. Please note that criteria listed below. And then, so someone in the community comes in here and appoints and says, "Hey, I would like to decide to go forward with this name." How long till that gets publicized to the commission to see if we move forward with the idea? Because I don't see that on there.
It's under the process. So if you read the process, how you can make a recommendation, and then you would follow that process. So number one, the timeline can take anywhere between 4 to 6 months, and that's just a rough estimate. The first option is any American Canyon resident, business owner, or organization may submit a request to name or rename a facility to the city manager by completing a city facility naming application. In addition, the city council may direct city staff to initiate the naming process. Such requests will be required to follow this policy. B, a city may purchase privately owned property within the city's boundaries. In this case, the city may choose to rename the facility to better fit the use of the purpose of the facility. If this occurs, the renaming of that facility is subject to this policy. The Parks and Community Services Commission will serve as the technical advisory committee. That's something that we also talked about. And then number D is where you get into the crux of the process. So like once they make that recommendation, then that's where that process starts. So the City of American Canyons Parks and Recreation Department will conduct a public notification process soliciting community input through the city facility application. Applicants will be accepted for 30 days. Once the 30 days have concluded, the Parks and Recreation Department will review all submitted applicants. Qualified applications will be given to the TAC. That's at that point, once they've met the minimum qualifications, that it will come to this body. So the Parks and Recreation Department will serve as that checks and balances, or you just review to make sure that it's meeting the standards of the policy before it's brought to this body. And then at that point, that's where we would start the public engagement process.
Thank you for that. At the moment, I don't know. I think I would like to review this in more detail. I don't know if you guys feel like waiting before we approve this, or.
Well, here's the thing. This is going to be brought to council in December. Before our next PCS commissioner meeting. So if we don't approve it, there's going to be a delay in this matter going to council.
Correct. So this is our second pass. So this really is like the final look. We pretty much did a lot of work last time, and the plan is to take this policy and bring it to City Council on the 19th. There was time to review this policy ahead of the meeting to understand and ask. This is the point of the meeting, is to ask the questions and really get clarification. This is an important item to get completed, so that way we can complete our other initiatives on our work plan. So my recommendation this evening is we do not wait. This is our second time. It really should be minor revisions and changes at this point because we did a lot of work last time. And so that way we have enough time to prepare the staff report and present this to council on the 19th. Because we do put our packets together in advance.
Thank you, Director Akita. I would like to thank you and the staff for all of your work on this. I think it is a very clean policy. We did do a lot of work on it at our last meeting. We did make a lot of revisions, a lot of changes, a lot of updates. We spent a good amount of time going line by line, word by word. And I think that what we have come up with and what you have come up with is excellent. It's very clear. It provides a timeline. It provides definitions. It provides processes. It provides the purpose. And looking at the timeline for it being like around 4 to 6 months for it to go through the whole process, I think it is important to, if we can, approve this policy and send it to council tonight, because at some point we do need to stop calling, our new community center the former Napa Junction. We want to be able to call that its new name and have the community start referring to it as its new name and utilizing it and making those optics there for our community and understanding what that facility is for. So I would just like to thank you and the staff. I think it's great. I do think it's very minor changes. I don't have any other feedback. I think that I'm ready to move forward, and let's see if our other commissioners are as well.
I'm fine. So we're calling for a motion.
Let's open up public comment. I think
that's
that's
true.
the next thing we should probably do. Thank you.
So hearing no further questions or comments by our commissioners, I'd like to open this business item for public comment.
Chair Griggs, we have no written comments that have been received, and I have no speaker cards unless Beth has a comment. We have no one online.
Okay, hearing none, I would like to ask for a motion to approve our new city facility naming policy by the Parks and Recreation Commission to send this item to council for final approval.
I move to approve the draft city facility naming policy with the changes we recommended.
And I second that. Roll call.
I approve.
Okay. Commissioner Garcia Arreola,
Yes.
Commissioner Mamarel,
Yes?
and Chair Griggs.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Great work on all fronts. I would like to move on to business item number 4, Repair and Replacement Fund Project Planning for fiscal year 2024-25. The recommendation is to review the prioritization list for potential repair and replacement park and facility projects for fiscal year 2024-2025. I'll hand it to you, Director.
Thank you, Chair Griggs. So again, we're bringing this item back to you just as just to really memorialize our discussion at last meeting. So as you recall, the City Council has created a repair and replacement fund that is specifically to address repairing and replacing our current infrastructures with our parks and facilities. The fund roughly has about $2.7 million, whereas $737,000 of that has already been allocated to projects within the fiscal year of 23-24. And that would include a shade canopy at Northampton Park, a restroom at Northampton Park, and community turf improvements at, turf improvements at Community Park 1, and then irrigation controller system upgrades at throughout the system. So tonight we're here after a lengthy discussion last time. I'm here to just prioritize all the great ideas that were discussed that evening. So I put, going down the list, as number 1, Community Park 1, we have identified that we would like to replace that playground and update the surface. That is probably, once Linwood will be completed, that will be one of our oldest parks in this community. It was installed in 2002, and it had a minor refresh in 2006. Water fountains, I have some great news. Our Maintenance and Utilities Department has secured a grant fund to update a lot of our drinking fountains throughout the city. It doesn't include a dog water bowl. I know that was something that we had talked about, but it is going to be a bottle refill station. But I had asked the staff to look into what would be, if there would be any cost changes to trying to get a water bottle refill, drinking fountain that has a water bottle refill and a dog bowl on the bottom, and they said they would absolutely look into that. So I'm waiting to hear back and see what that would look like. But they were able to secure a $275,000 grant. So we're really excited to be able to celebrate that and see that come to life in many of our parks and facilities. Number 3 is Veterans Park. We identified that we wanted to update and replace that playground and surface. As you recall, that playground was installed in 2007, but this playground tends to be a little bit tricky. The manufacturer that we decided to install that equipment is not local. They're actually overseas. So anytime a piece of equipment breaks or we need to replace it, it's not easy to replace that equipment quickly. There tends to be a backlog, and then we have to shut down certain portions of that park, and it's just not conducive to be able to have a playground that has those type of restrictions. So we would like to kind of bump that up on the prioritization list just for that matter. Bedford and Kensington cul-de-sac park, that playground, we've identified we would like to do a playground replacement and surface update. This playground was installed in 2007. It's a little pocket park. It's a smaller park, but definitely we can make some improvements there. Elliott Park, again, playground replacement and resurface update. That playground was installed in 2007. That's a really popular park. However, it's in really great condition, and that's why I put it further down on the prioritization list. Yes, although it was installed in 2007, we have an amazing parks crew. They go through and they actually they do periodic inspections, a minimum of once a month. And so that playground is actually in really great condition considering it was installed in 2007. Nottingham and Bentley Cul-de-sac Park. Again, that's another little pocket park. And we have identified that we would like to update the playground equipment and surface update, which was installed in 2007. In addition, we went through some other items that were brought up during that meeting where they are still considered to be high priorities, but they would not be part of the repair and replacement fund because they would actually come out of a different fund because they fall under the landscape lighting assessment district. And so we would actually specifically need to work with those LLAD zones to talk about these projects and possibly earmark them for the future. So one of them is Main Street Park. I know that's a priority for council because it specifically came to light because of the Juneteenth. We've identified that being our park for Juneteenth, and there is some accessibility concerns that the council would like us to look into of being able to get down into the grass from the upper level, and so that is a priority that we would like to look into with that zone, and that's in Zone 3. Number 2 is Polaria Park. That's in Zone 1. This playground was installed in 2005. It's actually in a really great condition. That's in the same zone that we just recently did Via Bellagio. So Via Bellagio was recently just updated. It's our new bug park. We can possibly go back to that zone and see if this would be a priority for them. But again, it's going to be an ongoing conversation and discussion with the LLAD. And then lastly is our Silver Oak Park, where we identified a surface update. It was brought to our attention that with the current engineered wood fiber, that playground has some drainage issues. There's a lot of puddling around that area. And so we would really want to look into that and see what the cost would be to take out that bark and put in a pour-in-place surface. So again, these are all great ideas. These 3 projects in particular take a little bit extra time and work because we have to work with the LLADs to make sure that this is part of what they want to see because they pay assessments towards those amenities, and it would come out of that specific budget. Other than that, that is what I have for you this evening in regards to the prioritization of the repair and replacement fund. Once we go over it and you're okay with it, city staff will go back and start quoting and pricing out some of these things, and we can use it for future. You know, one of the big things that we try to do is we try to plan and prepare years in advance. Our CIP budget in general is 5 years, and so although we're not able to get everything done this year, we have a great list to be able to plan out for the next future years. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Director. It is quite exciting to think that we have a rolling list of playground repair and replace projects so that they are all looking as beautiful as is fiscally possible all the time. Very exciting. I have a couple questions, and you may have partially answered one of them. I understand that this is part of the 2023-2024 going through 2026 budget. Can you tell me on this list, like approximately what the goals are for completion, like just perhaps for items 1 through 3?
Are you talking about the planned Parks and Recreation CIP projects that we already have identified for the next 5 years, that attachment?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, we have several updates here. Starting in 23-24, we have identified 15 different Parks and Recreation projects. It's a very ambitious CIP plan, but I'm sitting here today letting you know that we're making headway on a lot of these things. And if it doesn't get done this year, the great thing about it is we can roll it over to next year. And that's why you're going to see like PR 12, PR 19. Those are the years of when they were originally approved. So you're going to see some older projects making some headway finally, which we're super excited about. So the Newell open space improvements, that is where we're trying to update the parking lot. We are working with Cuesta right now. We had gone back to the drawing board and really tried to get down to the crux of that project, and making sure that the original project was to do the parking lot, make it paved, and then have some sort of permeable surface all the way up to the first gate. We were able to get that quote, and now one of the pieces that we need to now do is there's a portion of that trail from the trailhead into the first gate that the city doesn't technically own. And so we have to do a land acquisition for that piece before we can actually start doing work. So that's that project. Erica Amon-Smithy is our Public Works Director, and her team are heading that piece. The Wetlands Edge Enhancement, that's our outdoor education center at the wetlands. Again, that's another grant that we received. It's kind of a two-step process. One is installing a permanent park restroom where the portable restroom is now, and then installing a three-season canopy that is for outdoor education that would accommodate up to 20 students. We are currently trying to find a company, because the one thing about restrooms is we all forget is they need utilities. And it's in a great location where there's no utilities right now. So Erica and her team are currently trying to find a contractor to get a bid out to get those utilities from the street into that area, and get that quote so we can get that project going. In addition, we are currently doing Citizens Academy, where their capstone project this year is installing a native garden down at the wetlands, and that's going to be taking place next weekend. And that is going to fall under that same project, because part of the project is installing interpretive signage and plantings. And so we're getting that piece done with some amazing community volunteers, and then we'll focus on the restroom and the shade canopy once we have all the other details buttoned up. Wetlands Restoration Plan. This is a plan that we are working with ESA. They're currently out there right now looking at the wetlands, at the culvert, and they're looking at the sea level rise, a kayak launch down at the wetlands where the Now Corporation yard is sitting, which is eventually going to be the Napa River Ecology Center. That we recently just had a public meeting at the last OSATS meeting, which was last Wednesday. It was very successful. We received a lot of great feedback. There's a technical advisory committee, which is BRIT. Don't ask me what the acronym stands for, because I can't remember off the top of my head. It's like Bay Area Restoration, and then it falls off. But they ended up coming out. We had a meeting with them recently, about 2 weeks ago. They provided all their comments. Those are a lot of, on that technical advisory committee, you're going to see like U.S. Fish and Wildlife. You're going to see wetlands experts, environmentalists, people who this is what they do, and they're thinking about the impacts to this project and how we can mitigate those impacts. So that's moving forward very well. We'll have a plan hopefully soon. Playground replacement project, we're in the thick of it right now. Via Bellagio is complete, Northampton is complete, and Linwood is almost complete. I I'm excited to tell you all that the equipment has been installed. We're just waiting for the pour in place to go in, which we hope is going to go in this weekend as long as the weather holds up. And then we just need to install the wood fiber under the climber. And then, last but not least, we have to do the inspection. Once the inspection is passed of the playground, then we'll reopen that playground. So that one is almost done. Skateboard park relocation project that is happening right now at Veterans Park. They've already broken ground. They are going to be shot creeking the first bowl of our skate park this weekend. Once they do that, they'll move on to the next bowl, and then we're hoping to have that project completed by the end of December. And again, that's going to be weather permitting. Melvin Park improvements. I was making fun of myself today with the Public Works Director because she's an actual engineer, and I showed her my design, which I made in Canva. It was a great drawing. I think my daughter could have done a better job, but she got the idea, and so right now we're trying to find an on-call park architect because it's taking that lot that's right in front of Napa Cove apartments that are being built right now, and the idea is to get rid of that little tiny play structure that's there, remove that, and put the park in the bigger lot. And so we're trying to find a park architect to be able to help us design that playground based off of the vision of what is the draft vision of what's being thrown around right now. This project will not be completed this year. This will be a project that will most likely be rolled over to the next fiscal year just because of the complexity of that project and all the details that would go into that. So just be prepared that you will probably see that on next year's budget, next year's project plan. Irrigation controller upgrades. This is actually a parks maintenance project, and this is going to be ongoing. So right now I know that the goal is to get their irrigation controllers upgraded because a lot of them, they want to be able to have them be web-based and be able to turn them on and stuff. So not much of an update there. Melvin tennis courts, we are currently trying to get a quote on what it would cost to resurface the Melvin tennis courts. We recently went out there and realized that there is quite a lot of significant work that needs to be done, and we understand that. We hear the community. We're just trying to find a contractor in the area that will provide a bid. It's actually been quite difficult to try to get a proposal. I'll be honest about that. I've called several companies, and they're just right now they're working on other projects. So we're hoping by the springtime we can have something and get it done. Aquatic facility improvements, this will be pushed to the following year. This is a really big project that we need to work with the Public Works Department. It's talking about resurfacing of the pool, redoing the play pool, redoing the deck. It's a really complex and intense project. We're talking of completely shutting down the pool for several months to be able to accommodate something like this. And so we need to start talking about that and what that looks like and planning that out. So this most likely will be pushed to the next budget year. Northampton Shade Canopy, our Public Works Director recently met with a contractor. They're looking into shade options for Northampton, as well as the park restrooms for Northampton and Silver Oak. Just the same thing with the wetlands, it's the utilities. It's not so much of purchasing the bathrooms, that's easy. It's setting up the water and the electricity to run those bathrooms. So they're currently working with the company right now, trying to get a bid to get those projects done. Community Park 1 turf improvements. We are working with the American Canyon Little League. They have, last night, City Council adopted a 5-year lease with the Little League. They've updated the lease where the city will be giving them $60,000 towards facility improvements, and that will be in addition to a grant that they are securing. So we are trying to piggyback on that and work with them to have that contractor also focus on Community Park 1. And so we're trying to schedule those meetings with football and AC Little League to get that done before the spring. So hopefully that will be moving quickly. Via Bellagio play surface that was recently approved by City Council in October to be a project. We're just waiting on the contract to be signed by Miracle Play Systems and then get a schedule of when that will happen. And then the adult activity floor floor replacement, we're expecting that to be completed over the holiday season. So that is an update on everything that we have for this year.
Thank you very much for going through that extensive list. I think it's really exciting, and it's great for the public to hear everything that is being worked on and everything that is in the queue to come up to be worked on. So thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
One question about in the background and analysis, and where it says, because it says several times, surface update, referring to playground replacement and surface update. When it says surface update, are you referring to the pour in place? Okay.
Yes, correct. So we're trying to take the eye of accessibility with our facilities. That was something that City Council had mentioned at our joint meeting with them on June 20th, that they really want us to start looking at these repair and replacement projects with an eye of accessibility. And so since we have found that the pour in place has been so successful over at Northampton Park, we would like to carry that through to all of our other parks.
I think that's a great idea.
I had a question for the Melvin Park improvements. I know looks like we're looking at repaving it. Is there a plan for the lighting, to improve the lighting there, or to take down what's there in existence? Because it looks like some stuff out of like 70s, and I don't know, it's rusted, and my worry is that it might fall on someone. But is there a plan for the lighting there later on once it's paved?
We don't have a plan right now. I did speak with our Parks Maintenance Superintendent. They recently have replaced all the bulbs out there, and so those are inspected. We have a team that goes around and checks and inspects our facilities. If at any time that the city finds something to be unsafe, we would absolutely address it and take the precautions to be able to do that. That facility has not been identified as that being the case, even though the lights may be a little rusted, and maybe we can look into painting them or doing some other refreshment out there. But at this time, it's just really focusing on the court resurface. That I think is our bigger priority, because the court, that has a lot of cracking, and the actual court is peeling off. So I think that is a priority, but I can absolutely look into the lights and see if there's something that we can do for that later in the future.
Yeah, because there's still light fixtures, but there's no light bulbs. It's just kind of strange. Yeah, and there's like wires. I'll show you a picture later on. Maybe you could just address those concerns.
Thank you for bringing up lighting. That reminds me. I would like to propose that at some point we can add lighting across all parks and walkways, just kind of as a general thing, to sort of go neighborhood by neighborhood or block by block and just make sure that sidewalks and walking paths are lighted. As we get into the winter months with the time change, people are out walking after dark, and some of the walkways are better lit than others. In my neighborhood in particular, I think that what has happened is that all the beautiful trees in the neighborhood have matured, and therefore they are now blocking the street lights, and there's no actual lights down at the sidewalk level. So it's not that there's not lighting, it's just that it's not making its way down to where your feet actually are. So I think lighting is great. It's a great thing to think about, especially related to safety.
Okay, well, quick question on the Main Street Park accessibility. I know that the organizers are kind of actively planning Juneteenth 2024, so I'm just curious about whether there's a timeline for the accessibility, and whether that can, realistically happen before Juneteenth 2024.
Thank you, Commissioner Mamarol. I'm actually gonna have to get back to you on that. I'm gonna need to speak with our Public Works Director, who's also our city engineer, and talk about that project. It's, as much as I would like to sit here and say it's a simple thing, it's not. We're physically adding an additional pathway, and so that's not my area of expertise. And so I will look into that. I will speak with Erica Almond-Smith, who's our Public Works Director, and I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you. No,
You're welcome. As someone that is planning Juneteenth and running up against the accessibility issues for the past 2 years now, I'm glad it's a priority. Yes, thank you. Let me know. It would be nice to provide the information for the organizers, because the vendors for that event, they could certainly benefit from easier access.
Is there an opportunity to move the Juneteenth celebration to perhaps Northampton Park, which has better accessibility, and do something like we do for Meet Me in the Street and close off that section of the street for the vendors to move the venue?
That's something I can bring. That's something I can bring up with the organizers. But that's. Thank you for letting me know, Chair. Probably not strictly a PCS issue, but I'll see. There's also, the date of the event and location of the event are. I'll have to get back to you on that, because that's it's more Brenda Knight's call, with our input, of course. But thank you.
You're welcome. Any more additions, questions, clarifications from our commissioners regarding the repair and replacement fund project planning for fiscal year 2024-25? I will open up this business item to public comment then.
Chair Griggs, I have no comments online. I've received no written comments. Unless Beth has a comment, we have no comments.
Oh, I'm sorry, Beth. I do apologize. Chair, do you mind turning on the button so we can hear her, please? So that way Zoom World can hear her. Thank you.
The button is on.
Okay, the only thing I would follow up is on with Clarence about Main Street Park. As you know, that was really not considered as a park. It's supposed to be for the water, to collect the water for all the rain and all that kind of stuff. So, and that really is a hazard trying to get down. And I think that's the reason why they never had it put in that way, is because of the fact that it wasn't originally planned for all that. But it's a pretty good idea about having it down on American Canyon Road, except for the parking would be the only thing that I would see would be the thing for that. Because right now, with Juneteenth, we can park over where Larry and Pat's at and Walmart and things like that. So, but you guys are doing a great job. Allie, you're doing wonderful on everything. I hate to see all the structure at Melvin Park go away, because my kids and grandkids all played on that. So it's sort of, but it's going to be improved. So anyhow, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment? Okay, we'll close public comment at this time. If there is nothing further, reaching the end of our agenda, I will adjourn us at 7:24.